but sometimes you just don't know. You don't know what you don't know.
Right. Don't even know what questions to ask.
What questions to ask. And you may have not seen your parents model it well, or you may have seen them model it well, but maybe they didn't share everything with you. And you feel like, I want to do this, but I don't know that I have all the pieces. So we're just a coach, just like
the tone and the baseline in the beginning, because it's going to be hard.
It is.
It's going to be challenges. It's going to be, as we've talked about, unexpected things. No, it's not easy.
Not easy.
Yeah. Any relationship with two people is not easy.
Nope.
Let alone one as intimate as the most intimate relationship you can have is with your spouse.
Tell me what you're waiting for, the best is all for you. I gotta pray some more since I come home to you. I had to line it up, and they say we shouldn't shine it up, but that's just how his timing was, and look at what we do. They cannot tell me nothing, baby, the way you walk, I love it. And if you take too long, I'm rushing. I come the way you are, just trust it. Then we gon' love forever, and we gon' ride this thing together. I got my mind on you whenever, I keep my eyes on you forever. Man, we got the kind of love that says the word.
Welcome back to the Progress Podcast, where we dive into marriage, family, healing, and love. I am joined by my wonderful co-host and my husband, Russell.
AKA dressed like Nino Brown, AKA John Shaft. Yeah.
Hey, Wesley Snipes.
No, Wesley Snipes.
Did you pay attention?
Working on it. Working on it.
You're so funny. Welcome.
Jay Dilla makes the donuts. Working on it. If you're a Dilla person.
If you know,
anyway,
you know.
If you know, you know. Yeah, so welcome to this space. We're having fun today.
Yes, we are.
So, of course, as you know, 1 Timothy 4:11-16, we want to be an example in speech, love, conduct, purity, and faith. So in a world where there's so many highlight reels on the social medias, on the internet, people getting put on who don't belong, overexposed, underdeveloped, people who are getting canceled, getting their balloons popped, etc. We just want to dive into topics that are relevant.
Yes.
We want to be hot, honest, open, and transparent. And I hope by being with us today, and this is episode, I think, 8.
11. I don't know. It feels like 11.
We've lost track a little bit. We're excited to have you here.
Yes.
And so, we're uniquely called to this space we believe in. It's been a blessing to see how we've been able to get to this point in this journey on the Progress Podcast. So thank you for being here.
Yes.
Starting out today with Ephesians 4, verses 1-3. Walk worthy of the calling with which you were called, with all lowliness and gentleness, with long suffering, bearing with one another in love, enduring to keep the unity of the Spirit in the bond of peace.
I love that verse.
Thank you.
I have a t-shirt with that on it.
Okay. I didn't even know
Church
that.
merch.
I didn't even know that. Oh,
I got lots of church
build your
merch.
church with your merch. Build it from the ground up.
Yes.
Amen. So today we're going to talk about marriage coaching.
Yes.
And we're not going to make this an infomercial.
No, we're not.
But it is going to be informative and instructive, we believe.
Because we've had people ask us, like, what is it about? What is your marriage coaching?
Well, I never thought about that
Explain
before.
it to. I get asked that a lot.
Yeah.
So if I can just direct people to this episode, then they can kind of get an idea of what it is. And we're also going to have some graphics up and show you. So we're going to walk you through it. So you get a whole little tutorial, not infomercial. How about that?
Yeah. Well, but I think it's important that we position, a marriage in this way and talk about it. And the last few weeks we've gotten deep. We've gotten to some heavy stuff: sobriety, mental health. Finishing Mental Health Awareness Month. Certainly want to surface that, but really understanding what marriage is, why it's important, what it means in the context of God's kingdom, and how we do it and do it together. And I know for us in our journey, we didn't feel like we had the best marriage premarital counseling.
It was just to check a box. I felt like
we didn't feel like the first half of our marriage we had the best examples in terms of other married couples to do life with.
Nope.
And
we didn't have anybody to look up to.
Yeah.
Anybody a little further ahead of us.
Right.
A little bit down the highway, if you will. A
and
few exits ahead.
And not only did didn't have it, we didn't know we needed it.
Nope, we didn't.
It wasn't like we had an awareness and like, okay, we should have let's go find a better premarital coach.
Miss Know-It-all thought she knew.
Or marriage counseling. Well,
Miss Know-It-all thought, I didn't think I needed someone.
You had a little bit of experience.
I had a little bit of experience.
Yeah, so and so, and I felt, I don't know, I just didn't, I wasn't aware. I had a lot of faith, and that's has proven to be well, but didn't know how much work it would require to be coming up in a couple months, almost 10 years into this amazing journey. But it's been a lot. And so for us, our heart really is to help the journey be smoother for you.
Yes.
so that when you get to your 10 years, you can be even further ahead of where we are at 10 years. And so that's why we're here as progress coaches and standing on the Bible verse, again, 1 Timothy 4:11-16, that we can progress, and in doing so save ourselves and save others. And we want, that's our heart. That's our heart for marriage, because we know how beautiful it can be. We know how much healing can happen in the context of this.
And I know how difficult it can be.
Yeah.
I've been there too.
Yeah. So again, we are here. So let's start. What is a marriage coach?
So what is a marriage coach? So a marriage coach is someone who will walk with you, will guide you, will help pull out things that you didn't know were there. Maybe you didn't know with your spouse. We do a full assessment, which we're going to get into and break that down for you. But sometimes you just don't know. You don't know what you don't know.
Right. Don't even know what questions to ask.
What questions to ask. And you may have not seen your parents model it well, or you may have seen them model it well, but maybe they didn't share everything with you. And you feel like, I want to do this, but I don't know that I have all the pieces. So we're just a coach, just like LeBron James has a coach, and he's the greatest. So,
Don't start that.
Okay, sorry.
I mean, I'm with you on that one, but don't open up that can.
Okay,
but anyway,
don't cancel me, y'all. But he has a coach because he knows that's what he needs. Right. And so just in business and in life, a lot of people don't look at it like, I need a marriage coach. I can't do this thing alone. Right. I don't know about you, but for me, I've definitely had a moment where I'm like, what do I do? I have no one to call, nobody that I trust that I could ask. Right. I've been there, and then I'm trying to figure it out on my own, and most of the time my answer wasn't the best. Everybody needs a coach that's a little ahead of you.
I think framing is so important, right? And of course, the Bible says reframe, to renew your mind. And so, having context to going to the altar, as we've said before, to die to yourself, so that two can become one in union with Christ, to go forward as a new creation, a new family unit, right? To go forward into the earth, so to speak, right? And so how do you, create the infrastructure, right? And how do you even know what questions to ask? And you may have seen your parents model things beautifully, but you may just want to do things a little bit different. And certainly we know that, growing up, as we grew up primarily in the 80s and 90s, being married and being parents in the 2020s, is a very different challenge. It's a very different call, at least in the Western world, with technology, with so many different things, with the political environment that we're in, and the economic environment certainly not being as friendly in certain ways as it was a generation or two ago. Not as easy to buy a home. I mean, we can go down the list. There's so many more challenges. There's so many more ways that, just be real, not to be super spooky, the enemy can attack and undermine what God brought together. And so we really have a heart and want to, whether it's us or someone, want to encourage everyone to find a marriage counselor. We're not counselors, we're coaches, right? We're certified. We're going to talk about that in a minute. But to find, again, we said it before, find your people. Do not do this by yourself. And so that's really the call. And really, what is a marriage coach? I almost had my hat on backwards and wanted to have a whistle and a clipboard out here. But, to really be your coach, to be your partners, again, you only got to be an X or two ahead of someone else, so to speak, to use that metaphor, to really be able to coach somebody. And there's some people we're probably only a couple X's ahead of. There's some people we may be a number of X's ahead of, and we just feel we're called, and we're not.
Let me ask you this. Yeah. Why do we feel called? Why do we feel called to do this?
Yeah, I think certainly for us, a lot of time in prayer about it, because we don't take this lightly.
Not at all.
We met with my great aunt, who's 102, and she said, "Ooh, you're wading in some deep waters, but that's powerful, and we need it." And so she was encouraging, but she also instilled in us the reality of what the area we're going into is so powerful and so impactful and so important. What's up, friends? What's up, family? Thanks for watching and listening to the Progress Podcast. We really appreciate how you've been a part of this journey so far. It's been a quick few months that we're here, and we're really excited to continue going forward in this journey. We really would appreciate having your support via a donation. Check out the links in the description to consider making a donation. Your contribution allows us to continue to bring this content to you at the highest quality, and to continue to secure the best guests, to continue to sow into you, and to continue this journey going forward. So check out the links in the description. Thanks for being a part of this. We're really excited for all the things to come as we make progress. And so for us, I think it's something that we do not take lightly. It's been a lot of time in prayer, a lot of time with wise counsel around doing this, around having this platform to talk about it. but also I think just seeing the need. And as we've both expressed before, we've experienced the pain of divorce on different sides, and not wanting others to have to experience that pain. And we're going to get into some statistics in a second, but there's this reality of in the Western world and the world in general of marriages failing.
Yes.
So many marriages failing, and what that does to families, what that does to children, what that does to people, period. And what that means, and how can we avoid that by having healthier marriages, by setting the tone and the baseline in the beginning, because it's going to be hard.
It is.
There's going to be challenges. It's going to be, as we've talked about, unexpected things. No, it's not easy.
Not easy.
Yeah, any relationship with two people is not easy.
Nope.
Let alone one as intimate as the most intimate relationship you can have with your spouse. So let's just be real about humanity and who we are. And so it takes work, and it takes setting the parameters, again, the framing going into marriage, of going to the altar to die, to be in that covenant, that you're committed to making that covenant work. And it's going to change through seasons. It's going to change through sickness and in health, through death doing us part, through richer, for all the typical standard vows that we take. It's going to change, and you have to be prepared. And it's just so much unknown. And so again, building the framework initially to be able to manage that change, to work through it, and to be able to love through it, again, with the power of Christ that gives us patience, that gives us grace, that has mercy on us, Lord, when it's hard, to be able to get through. And so we feel called. And we again, don't take this lightly one bit, and we're humbled for the lives of the people who have already come to us, that we get the chance to steward. It's such a blessing to be able to do it, and to be able to steward people who've come out of alcoholism, who are now married and having babies. And we see these things, people who are talking about getting divorced, who have gone on to have more babies, and that we've been able to be a part of their life, and something that we did, the space that we've made in our home and our lives for people to be able to see the fruit of that. That's encouraged us.
And we've been doing this a long time. This
we're not
isn't
new.
new.
To this. No.
This is new for the world to see.
Put it, make it available.
But Russell and I have been doing this for a very long time for strangers. We opened our home to 30-some strangers 5 years ago.
Yeah, it's coming out of the pandemic.
I was terrified. I was like, can we pray? Because there was all these strangers coming in our home.
It was like 14 adults and all like 16 kids.
All married couples. We feel we have been working on this. This has been something we've been called to for a long time. And now we just feel called to take it to another level, to present it to the world, and to say, we're here. You're not alone. And we're here to be a few exits ahead of you.
We don't have all the answers, but we know who
answers.
does. But we know who does, and so we rely on that and lean on that together. And so
let's share some statistics, because I know people like numbers. So why don't you go ahead?
Yeah. So this is kind of random research that we found on the internet, on the interwebs, on the internets, on the Google machine and the AI machines. But 30% increase in marital satisfaction for couples who engage in premarital, like coaching or education, ahead of time. We've also learned that
this is a hard one.
10 to 15% of couples who do engage in premarital education of some sort, coaching or counseling, end up not getting married. Yeah. And so I want to stop there.
I think it is a good idea to stop there.
I think sometimes we get so caught up. There's so many dynamics that go into when people get engaged, the excitement, the friends and family that are in each other's ear, and each other's side. Yes. And then, of course, we've seen it, the build up to the actual wedding day and all that goes into it.
And all the money.
And people start spending money.
And
people start making commitments. And people start buying airplane tickets and planning things. And like the pressure can mount. And in the midst of that pressure, and we've heard these stories before, people start seeing things in their soon-to-be spouse. Yes.
Because challenges start to arise.
Yes.
They maybe have never experienced these difficult challenges between families, pressures around finances, pressures around decision making. And now all of a sudden, this whole planning of a wedding has exposed a lot of what's going on, but you're already halfway down the road. You feel like you can't call it off,
right. You can't say,
but you have all these red flags. Or let me just stop and say, you're a parent or someone who you are seeing someone who's getting ready to walk down the aisle that you're like, oh, I'm watching a train wreck, or I don't know that they have all the tools, and it might not be a train wreck. They just might need some help and some tools. You can gift them a free assessment, or you can gift them an assessment, and we will do that with them, and they can decide where to go from there. But you could even gift that to somebody to say, I love you enough that I'd like you guys to maybe a little bit be on the same page.
I found some marriage coaches that are cool. You might want to check out their podcast.
And do an assessment.
Yep.
A lot of times people don't realize this is an option. I'm finding that this is more of a church thing. If you're attached to a church, sometimes this can sometimes be offered, not in the best way, but it sometimes can be offered. But a lot of people that aren't actively involved in church don't know this is a thing.
Right.
They don't realize this is something they can do. So we really feel called to that, to showing people we want you to get married. We desire for you to get married, but we also want healthy marriages and marriages that people really want to get married with the right reason, not to solve a problem in their life, or you got a little coin, so you're going to solve all my financial problems. I'm going to get married because you're going to solve that.
Sugar daddy. All right.
Yes, but then when you get married, you have an angry, explosive husband that maybe can make some money, but now your mental health's in the trash.
Right.
Like, you got to talk about these things.
I mean, so I definitely wanted to say, we want people to get married to the right person.
Yes.
For us in our faith, we want to see people get married to who God's called them to be married to. And then there's a lot of different ideas about is there one person for me out there? Yeah, and I don't subscribe to that, but I do believe, God has people or for us, but I know humans have to make the ultimate decision and make the commitment to the covenant, right? Yes. We do have free will in that. And so definitely want to, hold space for if we coach someone and they're not the couple, we've talked about actually what would we do, how would we present that to someone that we say we don't think this is a good idea, like, to give a recommendation of that, because that could be hard.
It could be hard, but
we'd rather a little pain now than a lot of pain later. of divorce,
as a divorcee and as a child of divorce. Yeah.
So going forward, couples who get premarital coaching or education are more likely to get counseling or other support or access resources to support their marriage when they are married.
Yes.
So this is a big one I wanted to stop on.
This so right important.
Yeah.
Because if you are engaged or married, early married, hopefully you're not so super long in, and you recognize we need some type of therapy, and your partner is like totally opposed to it, that's a red flag, a huge red flag. Because if they're opposed to health and wellness now, imagine 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, you have a death of a child or an illness or parent or anything that you may deal with. If they are pushing so hard against this now, that is a sign that you will have a challenge in the future with mental health.
I think I said it last week, pride comes before the fall.
Yeah.
And so to the extent there's too much pride, where I don't need these help, and who are these coaches, and who is this therapist, who is this counselor, who is this pastor, whoever you choose.
Whoever you choose.
If there's this significant pushback, I think, humbly submit, that could be a red flag. Yeah. Why are you, what are you afraid to speak to and share and be vulnerable about with a safe, we've got to find a safe people and your right people. Once you identify that person within reason, what is it that is preventing you from being honest, from sharing your stuff at least a little bit, to get some things out in the open, at least being vulnerable to let another person ask some hard questions, right? Because I think one of the things that's important about coaching is that, again, you're not going to know all the questions to ask, number one, or think of all the questions, number one. Number two, you may think of the questions but be afraid to ask them.
Exactly.
Right? And so sometimes having a third person that can ask the hard questions, put some things on the table that maybe one person's thinking about, the other person's not thinking about, that can be so valuable. So again, if someone's opposed to that, I would say it's a red flag. We need to have these conversations again. We need to build our community, build our village around our marriage to support us and help us grow and give us the tools and the knowledge and the love and the wisdom that we all need.
I would love to pivot into this because you just said something. So we are going to start talking about the assessment. And the reason I want to share this is you just touched on something that's really valuable. Mm-hmm. You might be scared to ask something. A lot of that comes up in this assessment in ways that the person's not writing a paragraph about their trauma, but they're answering a question that's like, that tells the system that, okay, there's something here we've got to get into, or we've got to uncover. So a lot of it is done for you with this assessment. So how this works is you both sign up. We send you an email, both individually, and you complete this assessment on your own. Once both assessments are completed, it gets emailed back to Russell and I, and then we go over it, and then we set up a one-on-one coaching with you guys to decide where we go from there. And the reason we do it this way is that we feel that every situation is not the same. You could be getting married in 3 months from now and need to go through an accelerated marriage coaching. You could get married a year from now, and we meet with each other once a month, maybe. So it just really, it's a per couple type of thing.
Yeah, you could be pre-engaged even. You could be a year or two into your marriage and say, okay, we got some stuff going. We didn't really, we rushed to the altar or other situations that happen, right? That happens. Let's be real.
It does.
And we want to figure this out. We're committed to it. What do we need to do to level set to get on track? And we want to be able to be a resource to help you get on track. So yeah, the assessment takes about 30 minutes. It's no, it's
It's
beautiful.
not really difficult.
Yeah,
It's very easy. We've taken it. We actually have ours in front of us right now.
And
Ours is this.
I think this is a good time to say. So this is a Saving Your Marriage Before It Starts. Symbis.
Yes.
We're certified coaches, and this is the platform that we use as a baseline assessment, and then we go from there.
And we do.
Yeah.
Because we have noticed there are some things that need to be added to this.
Yeah, that we think we uniquely add
We
to this.
uniquely add. Blended family, divorce, those type of things. That's not
Multiracial.
Yeah. That's not covered in the typical book marriage premarital.
Or in depth. Let's just be real, in depth. And so obviously combining this beautiful assessment and the tools we get from Symbis with our own experience, and being 10 years in, we really believe we have an offering for people. And statistics real quick, over 800,000 divorces a year in America.
Ooh, 800,000.
800,000. So yeah.
No wonder why there's so many divorce lawyers. Woo!
Yeah,
They be making money.
So yeah, we need more marriage coaches.
We
instead
do.
of divorce
We need
lawyers.
to- we need to balance this out.
So we're here
Put them out of
we're here to
business.
bring balance to the force.
Yes.
So
once you finish the assessment, there is a copy of it that's going to pop up on the screen. We get a whole background on you guys, which is really amazing because it gives us an idea into who you are, and we don't need to spend so much time. Tell me about your parents. Tell me about your siblings, all this stuff. It's done, and it tells us what birth order you're in, what, home you grew up in, how you were raised, all of those things. So it's a very detailed assessment on that kind of helps us dive in quickly to where we are. You could talk about this. That's the next thing is marriage momentum.
Marriage momentum. So really kind of gauges how we're feeling about marriage, or what our level of commitment in terms of mindset. What is each member, person in the couple's well-being, and really helping us understand, where you are individually, and is coming together going to be a good idea. Then we get into mindset, right? How committed are you? There's a few different mindsets: resolute, rational, romantic, restless, or reluctant. So when it comes to your marriage or getting married, what is your mindset in this moment, and then how those two come together, right? Because again, it's a coming together. And if you're already married, right, you may still be figuring out how to come together. I think every marriage, I would argue, in the first few years, certainly is still figuring out how to come together. And then you bring another person in by having a child, and you're going to figure out how to come together all over again. So in a sense, you're building a muscle.
Yes.
You're building, through seasons of life, you're building a muscle where you're learning how to come together as life changes, as, where a lot of us are in the sandwich generation, where we're helping support parents, and we're also raising our kids. And these things just shift. And so again, building these muscles, building these resources down, knowing what questions to ask and how to navigate this together is going to help you through seasons.
Immensely.
Yeah.
Immensely. The next part is finances. Now, I just want to say money. No, we're not going through every aspect of this. Let me say that.
But these are some key ones, though.
Just a key overview to give you an idea, because it is 20 pages long. Yeah. It's very detailed.
Real quick, most marriages divorce over money.
Most marriages
finances is the biggest area. So we definitely want to get into that money talk, right? So I can be tight and stingy. She can be the spender. Let's be real for us. And so we've had to navigate that, and we both have had to do some healing around money. Who handles finances? How we literally manage our week to week, month to month. And so that's been a journey for us that we've really, the last few years have just kind of gotten in a better place. Still have work to do, certainly, but again, it's a big part, and we've talked about it in this space, in this podcast, about financial stress being one of the biggest, if not the biggest stressor for us in our marriage. And so we want to help you have a healthy context and for this one. So,
and not just that we're going to give you this and talk through it, but we also want to share. We've shared with other couples that we've coached how we set up our bills, how we manage finances, how we brought our finances together. Because that's hard, especially when you're single and you've been single for a long time, and all of a sudden you've got to bring someone in, and merging of the finances, who does what, how it all works. We really
we've done Dave Ramsey.
We've done Financial Peace
we had a financial
University.
coach for
financial
about
coach.
6 months, and so we've done some work in that too, and we've already begun to explore bringing some other those resources into our program as well. But definitely, this is going to be a big area for us that I think we're growing in as well. But again, we're a few X's ahead and want to help others grow in.
And this is good too. So if you haven't, or you're fearful to have the debt conversation, and you have no idea the person you're marrying, how much debt they have, student loans, whatever it may be, it kind of gets into, it doesn't get an amount, but it kind of gets into where's your debt level, so that it opens up doors for you to be able to talk through. The next one I love.
Okay.
I love this one.
Context.
Expectations. Because I got to speak for myself.
Just don't speak for me.
Myself.
Speak for yourself.
A lot of women who were raised with a traditional mother believe all of these home responsibilities are theirs sometimes.
Yeah.
And it's nice to sit down and talk and say, okay, what did your mom do in the home? What did your dad do in the home? What will you continue to do? What will be my responsibility in the home? And it's really cool because we answer those separately. And then it identifies which ones we need to decide on, which was so good in helping stop arguments, to be honest.
What we grew up with is our normal for us. And if we have no other context, then we may expect this. Well, that's what's always been. That's what I've always
The guy always did the trash. The woman always did the laundry.
Right.
You know, but
and maybe that works for you, but maybe it doesn't. And it needs to be talked about. And so, again, some of these things, and I know they may seem trivial, but they add up, right?
They add up.
And it's like death by water torture,
it is.
right? Eventually, the eventual drip becomes a flood, and you're in a full blown fight or argument one night with your spouse, and you don't even know why.
Yep.
And so we've been there to some extent with some of this stuff, but it hasn't gotten too bad for these drips. Yeah. But some of them they just annoyance.
Yeah.
And I'll be real as a man. It's disrupted our intimacy.
Oh,
right. Mm-hmm. And I'm a man. Be real. I want to be intimate with my wife, and so it's like, but because there's been an argument about dishes and the trash or who's putting kids, like whatever, like stuff. That's day-to-day stuff. Yeah. We can call it the day-to-day stuff. Just making the family run again, especially when you bring in other people, have children. It's different than when you're just two of us. And sometimes
if you've level set on expectations ahead of time,
yes.
You can just say like, "Hey, babe, I'm exhausted tonight. I'm not going to get to so and so. Could you help me out, or I'm going to get to it in the morning?"
Right. Just learning how to communicate.
Exactly.
About these
learning
things.
The communication, not just letting it sit and then just assuming the other one's going to do it.
Right.
So, really, really good for me because I felt like I carried a lot in previous relationships. So it's been really good for me to have that level set with you.
Yeah.
Next is styles, which is really interesting when it comes to communication.
So thinking about problem-solving style, influencing other style.
You talked about this one earlier in another podcast about facts and feelings.
Yes, certainly. So, obviously our feelings are information. And so being able to develop some of the emotional maturity to process that and understanding how we process. And we all process different. People are neurodivergent, right? People have our brains quite literally function differently. I know I've said before, I teach the class on some of this stuff. And so we have to having awareness and servicing this stuff in the context of marriage, and two are becoming one to understand, my husband interprets this way, and he might process this way. And understanding that, again, for the purposes of communication, right? So again, the Bible says first seek understanding, right? And so then, we want to seek wisdom. So once you have the understanding, then you can respond wisely without not out of anger and frustration, and right? And hopefully can surface the right emotions and feelings that are going to be fruitful to propelling your marriage forward, right? And so, again, we get into these types of styles around communication.
And it's really cool because even things that I didn't realize, like for us, I'm just going to bring this up for a second, on decision making.
Decisions, I'm
spontaneous. You're more cautious a little bit more.
We're close. I'm more cautious.
But I was like, wow, I didn't realize, but as I thought, I am. And so it helps me like, okay, I need to come to you and be like, okay, I know I'm a little spontaneous and that's not good all the time. So level set me.
Right.
And it makes it so much easier because I answer these questions. I'm the one that produced these answers. I know that's me. So very, very cool.
Now we will say this is we did, haven't done it ourselves, say eat your own dog food.
Yeah.
And we were like, wow, this is really, we felt it was very spot on to where we were. And
we do get into sex.
Right now.
We're not going to get into it on this
future episode.
But we
do get into that, and very important in terms of level setting expectations and how to communicate around it. So I don't want to gloss past that one.
Expectation and also frequency. Let's talk about
frequency.
It. That's a problem in marriage a lot, is one wants it more than the other. We do talk about that. On top of sex, we talk about needs. Your top needs.
Just overall.
And so overall, what are your top needs? And everyone's are clearly different. And it really gives you an idea of your spouse. Like intimacy is one of your top needs. I know that. And that doesn't necessarily mean sex.
Correct.
I am more affectionate. I'm more loving. I create more environments for intimacy because I know that's how you feel love.
Yeah.
So it really
helped me.
And
we both share conversation. Yeah, it's definitely, which as you couldn't tell. When I saw that one, I don't know if I ever said it to you, by the way. When I saw that we both share a conversation, like, well, duh, we have a podcast, and we like the root of this podcast, which we record here in our home, is really based on like we sit in this house and have conversations sometimes for hours, and have gotten through some of our tough seasons by just talking it out and praying it out and crying it out sometimes. Yes. And so anyway, conversation is one of ours, certainly.
Yeah. So
time style, big, time management. you're a processor. I'm a planner, right? Which drives her crazy. I'm pensive. I'm thinking about every angle. Yep. She's a little more spontaneous and wants to move. So that's been interesting. And then marital harmony, right? How we interact in a lot of different categories. So again, these are some of the more day-to-day things, but are more emotional than practical. So you're thinking about friendship style, forgiveness, healing, trust, anger. Like how do we process some of these varying emotions, conflict resolution?
It also gives you a satisfaction level.
Yes, and where do you
which
sit?
is so good because you might not realize your spouse is not satisfied or your partner is not satisfied in a certain area, and it really opens up a door to be able to talk about like communication is one of the areas that like I had on here.
Yeah.
So it's really
two I love that are here are spiritual intimacy, right? How important is that? Where do you feel you are, right? And then the other one is goals and dreams. And we've talked about this as well a little bit, I think, before here in this space, is about how important it is to sometimes just have a dream. Like, what would you like to do next year for Christmas? What would you like to go for our anniversary? Like, whatever. What would you like to do with our kids next summer? Like having something to look forward to, and how do we communicate around that? And how do we create shared dreams and shared vision? And so we want you to be able, as a married couple, to be able to have that in the beginning of your marriage. But then how do you maintain that when things get hard, when the bills add up, when you have a sick parent or a sick child or your health issue, whatever the case may be? How do you keep that spark, that hope and that faith? Again, that's going to give you progress to go forward in your marriage. So there's so much there, and it's just so rich to be able to go through that with couples. And again, we're going through this assessment. We do this. There's some pages on there we've taken. The finance page, we do like a 2-part.
Yes.
And the couples we're coaching so far, and so it's we sit on some of this stuff and go over it in depth to really drill down and give you all the awareness that you need. What's up, friends? What's up, family? Thanks for watching and listening to the Progress Podcast. We really appreciate how you've been a part of this journey so far. It's been a quick few months that we're here, and we're really excited to continue going forward in this journey. We really would appreciate having your support via a donation. Check out the links in the description to consider making a donation. Your contribution allows us to continue to bring this content to you at the highest quality, and to continue to secure the best guests, to continue to sow into you, and to continue this journey going forward. So check out the links in the description. Thanks for being a part of this. We're really excited for all the things to come as we make progress. To go forward into progress into your marriage.
We give you some fun activities, some asynchronous work, some other things, just to encourage the health of the relationship. Some fun activities too. We'll give you some of those.
We definitely have fun. If you can't tell, we have fun. We have fun here. Call myself almost. I was trying to think of who the black. There was a minor Star Wars reference earlier, and I was like, oh, Landau Calrissian. That's that's.
I don't watch Star Wars.
I know.
I don't think I've ever seen Star Wars.
Billy D. Williams.
I know who that guy is.
Yeah, you know who that guy is. He's almost as good looking as me.
Almost.
So I mean, that's the assessment.
That is.
And we want to again, I mentioned 800,000 divorces a year. And so we want to be very clear, like if you're watching this, and like Russ and Sealer are cool, but I want to go to a marriage counselor. Go find a marriage counselor.
Please.
Russell and Sealer are cool, but my pastor is the bomb. See your pastor. I can't stand Russell and Sealer. I don't know why I'm watching this. Then thanks for bye. We love you. We'll miss you. But I think the point is for us, for this podcast, is we want you to find your person or your people to do this with, to get some structure, to get some examples, to get some tools, and ultimately going to help point you towards Christ being in your marriage and having the framework to keep that conversation going. And it's 2 conversations, the one you're having with your spouse and the one you're having in your prayer life with God, that is going to bring you forward to truly allow your marriage to thrive and to grow and to do everything that God intends it to do. And that's our heart's desire. So,
marriage is beautiful.
Yeah.
It is so beautiful.
I mean, if we can just prevent, a couple hundred of those marriages from being ending in divorce a year, we're going, we'll be wildly successful. Who knows where this podcast could end up if that happens. So, but that's our heart. Whether it's, and right now we're probably counting 2 hands the number of couples we're coaching, and our thing for us for doing this podcast and for doing this is that if we help one couple.
It's worth it.
It's worth it because God's blessed us with the resources to put this together. This podcast, God's blessed us with the resources to get Simba certified and to be able to be in good health mentally, spiritually, physically, emotionally, to be able to be here and be an example and to show our progress.
Yeah, and like you were saying earlier, we're not therapists. We're not any
coaches.
of that. But I do want to say, I have lived through this.
Yeah, right.
We have lived
Lots
through
of lived experience.
I could sit here and ramble so many lived experiences that would shock the heck out of people. You would be like, what?
Yeah.
That girl does not look like she'd been through that. Nope. Been there, done that, got the t-shirt.
Yeah.
So I want to be able to help people to say, this has happened. I've survived it. You can get through this. Like I said in a previous podcast, it's worth something.
Yeah.
All the challenges, the divorce, it's worth something.
So that being said, not one size fits all.
Nope.
And if you come, with part of our coaching, we're going to certainly, we'll have different modes and modalities and time frames. We can make it work for you. And so, but if we're not your person, so be it. We want to encourage you to find someone else. And so, before we leave today and get to our verse, I just wanted to I think, again, this is going to be, episode 8 that we're at now. And, going forward, you've heard a lot from us, but we're really excited. We have some amazing guests lined up. You're going to start to see in the weeks ahead. And, we're going to have some really amazing conversations about faith, about marriage, about parenting, about mental health. We have some really awesome people already committed to be in this space. And that's a blessing in and of itself. So I just say that to say thank you for staying with us as part of this journey thus far and hearing our story and hearing our heart. And I believe and trust no matter where you are in finding this, both in geography or in the span of time that this exists on YouTube or on audio platforms, that this is blessing you. And, come to myprogresscoach.com if you want to work with us. We'll be happy to be a resource to you and to partner with you on your marriage journey and on your journey as men and women in Christ, trying to figure this thing out, right? And so, like I said, I know you were coaching someone recently who's trying to figure out, is this man the right one for her?
Mm-hmm. I do dating coaching too.
And dating coaching. So again, pre-engagement even. Yeah. If you're trying to sort that stuff out,
I'm currently doing a book club called True Love Dates. And
there you go.
As a married woman, I am teaching this book club for single women because there's a lot of single women hosting book clubs for single women. Yeah. And I'm like, no, we're going to do this a little differently. So yes, I love that part of being able to coach women that are dating. So
that's a little bit of the encouragement. We're ending on 1 Corinthians 7, verse 16. Wife, for all you know, you might save your husband. Husband, for all you know, you might save your wife.
Hallelujah.
And so, think about marriage and getting into that covenant. And again, as we've talked about in recent weeks, we've been able to save each other through the challenges of our life, through deep grieving processes, through addiction, through mental health, you name it. And so we want that for you. And so that's the encouragement today, is that you can have that, but it does take work. It takes commitment to the covenant. It takes commitment to Christ and commitment to your spouse to really see it through. But there's a way to do it. And you don't do it alone. We want to be a part of your journey, and we're humbled for those who have already agreed to be part of it. And we're humbled for those yet to come to be a part of it. And we want to see more of those pictures in Texas when babies are born and families are still together and going towards decades of marriage. And that really inspires us and motivates us. So just want to thank you.
One last thing before we end that we did forget to mention.
All right.
We do also have the ability to marry you. So Russell is a licensed officiant.
I am licensed.
So when you're finished your counseling, if you are coaching, if you need someone to marry you, Russell's available. I'm in the process of getting certified myself also, but he's done it way more than I have. Let me be honest.
And she's can do flowers. I'm not getting certified.
I'm not doing flowers or singing. Do not offer flowers or singing. I thought that was coming next.
No, I was getting ready to do singing, but she can't sing. She can sing.
I'll fluff your dress.
So at some point we'll get to that part too. But we can. You're gonna smile through. Yeah. I'm gonna get her to sing for y'all one day. But right now she just sings for me.
So we just wanted to add that last part too. If you do need those services, we would provide that also for you, because I know that can be difficult.
In for a penny, in for a pound. Holler at us.
Yes.
So.
And even after marriage, we're not just getting people to the aisle and saying peace out. No, we want to walk through life with you.
Yeah, and as years go forward, we'll have more. We'll be more exits ahead.
We'd love to have a community of people, and we get together and have a yearly event and just be together.
We have as God moves, we definitely have a dream and a vision for what we think is possible for this podcast, for this marriage coaching. And we just, to be humble, we haven't seen other couples who are in this space who have our lived experience, who also have our racial makeup.
Yes.
And so that's part of it. And so again, we might not be for everybody, but we know there's an audience out there and there's people out there who we believe could benefit from what we've learned. And that's what we've been able to find, our people who've blessed us. And perhaps if we can be somebody for you, we're here and we love you and we're here to serve.
Yes. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for subscribing. If you found this valuable, please share it with somebody else. If you want to bless us through Cash App, PayPal, Venmo, we have all of that on our description.
Yep.
And lastly, until last time,
Until next time.
Until next time. I can't even talk.
You got it.
See, I'm not perfect.
Yeah,
Progress.
not progress.
Until next time. Go ahead.
We couldn't love you
if we didn't love you.
Peace.
They cannot tell me nothing, baby, the way you walk, I love it. And if you take too long, I'm rushing. I come the way you are, just trust it. Then we gon' love forever, and we gon' ride this thing together. I got my mind on you whenever, I keep my eyes on you.